Novak Djokovic issues short two-word response to Eileen Gu's emotional speech. Novak Djokovic has responded to Eileen Gu's inspiring words at the Winter Olympics. The Chinese-American athlete, who represented China in Milano Cortina, dominated the games, securing medals in every freestyle skiing discipline she entered and establishing herself as the most decorated freestyle skier with 6 medals spanning 2 Olympics. The 22-year-old had previously spoken about the challenges of maintaining peak performance in her sport, revealing that her greatest strength was the belief she held in her ability to compete at the highest level. Gu explained that she treated each of her 3 events like a 100-meter sprint and how her self-assurance drove her forward. It came after Donald Trump made a glaring mistake whilst presenting the highest honor to a Team USA champion. The difficulty of competing in 3 events, making finals in 3 events, she said. I had to compete 6 times. I kind of liken it to a marathon, with the pace of a 100-meter dash. I took a big risk in trusting myself, and I'm glad that I did. At her final press conference at the Games, a journalist attempted to understand her preparation methods, and Gu shared a profound observation that made an impression on Djokovic, who attended the Winter Olympics after finishing runner-up at the Australian Open. The power of sport is unparalleled because it is evidence over affirmation. Because you don't tell yourself, oh, I can handle the pressure, I'm so great, Gu told reporters. You do it time and again. Sports are really honest because you can't lie to yourself. You know when you stayed late and other people weren't there. You know when you showed up early and other people weren't there. You know when you gave 100% in training, day in and day out. For months. It's not about at the last second. I tell myself a chipper little line and call it a day. It's the fact that I look back on quite literally years, like decades of hard work, of pouring my heart and soul into this sport. And so yeah, it's trusting myself and it's building that trust every day. Gu received widespread admiration for her words, most notably from 24-time Grand Slam champion Djokovic, who shared a clip of the speech on his Instagram story with the caption, "Well said," accompanied by raised hands and applause emojis. Gu then reposted Djokovic's reaction on her own story, adding a heart and high-five emojis. Djokovic himself has tasted glory at the Olympics, winning a long-awaited gold medal at the Paris 2024 Games in men's singles. The Serbian superstar defeated Carlos Alcaraz 7-6-3, 7-6-2, in a thrilling final. Aged 38, he knows exactly what it takes to stay at the top of the game for years, and recently stunned 2-time defending champion Jannik Sinner in the Australian Open semi-finals, proof of his longevity. In a world where athletes are often measured by trophies, records, and endorsement deals, it is sometimes the smallest gestures that carry the greatest weight. A look, a nod, a tear held back, or in this case, just 2 words. When Eileen Gu delivered her emotional speech, the room felt heavier than usual. The applause that followed wasn't simply admiration for medals or milestones. It was respect for vulnerability. She spoke not just as a champion, but as a young woman navigating identity, pressure, expectations, and the complex intersection of culture and competition. Her voice trembled at moments, but her message never wavered. And then came Novak Djokovic's response. 2 words. Simple. Direct. Powerful. Beautifully said. That was it. No lengthy paragraph. No elaborate commentary. Just 2 words that echoed louder than a speech. The weight of emotion. Eileen Gu has never been a stranger to attention. A freestyle skiing sensation, a global ambassador, and a cultural bridge between nations, she has carried the weight of global scrutiny since her teenage years. Every decision she makes, on the slopes or off, seems magnified under an international microscope. In her speech, she peeled back the polished image. She spoke about pressure, the kind that doesn't show up on scoreboards. The pressure of representing more than oneself. The pressure of expectations from 2 cultures. The pressure of being labeled a symbol when you are still discovering who you are. There is something profoundly human about watching a champion allow themselves to be fragile in public. It reminds us that greatness and vulnerability are not opposites. They coexist. As Gu spoke, the audience listened not as fans, but as witnesses. Djokovic, the silent observer. Novak Djokovic understands pressure better than most. A tennis legend, a record breaker, and one of the most polarizing yet respected figures in modern sport, he has walked through storms of criticism and triumph alike. His career has been shaped not just by forehands and backhands, but by resilience in the face of adversity. Perhaps that is why his response carried such meaning. Djokovic is known for intensity, discipline, and fierce competitiveness. But those who follow him closely also know his appreciation for mental strength, spirituality, and emotional balance. He often speaks about mindset, about inner peace, about the journey beyond trophies. So when he responded to Gu's emotional speech with just 2 words, beautifully said, it was not casual. It was acknowledgement. Acknowledgement from one champion to another. The power of brevity. We live in an age of endless commentary. Social media feeds overflow with opinions. Statements are dissected, amplified, distorted. Everyone wants to add more. But sometimes, saying less says more. 2 words can carry sincerity when they are not cluttered with self-promotion. Djokovic didn't shift the spotlight to himself. He didn't analyze or reinterpret her speech. He simply validated it. Beautifully said. In those words was empathy, respect, recognition. It was a reminder that greatness does not require dominance in every moment. Sometimes, it requires humility, shared understanding between champions. Elite athletes inhabit a unique psychological landscape. They train their bodies relentlessly, but they also battle invisible challenges, doubt, expectation, loneliness, the fear of failure magnified on a global stage. Gu's emotional transparency likely resonated with Djokovic on a level few outside elite sport could fully grasp. Djokovic has faced criticism throughout his career, about his personality, his decisions, his place in the era of Federer and Nadal. He has been cheered and booed in the same tournament. He has experienced moments where the crowd seemed against him, yet he found strength within. Gu, in her own arena, faces cultural debates and political narratives beyond sport. She competes not just for medals but within conversations about identity and allegiance. Their sports differ. Their backgrounds differ. But the psychological burden of excellence? That is universal. When Djokovic said those 2 words, it felt like one champion quietly telling another, I understand. The emotional shift in modern sport. Athletes today are no longer expected to be silent gladiators. The modern sports landscape has evolved. Mental health discussions are more open. Vulnerability is no longer weakness, it is courage.